Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here on behalf of the family. My name is Rabbi Eric David Lakatos, and I'm with Tikvat Yisrael Synagogue. And we are here to memorialize Mr. David Dwoskin, who passed away Friday, June 14th, 2019 at 5:13 p.m., which corresponds to the 11th of Sivan, and he was 77 years old. I'm going to begin this afternoon with the 23rd Psalm. Mizmor leDavid, Adonai roi lo iksar, bino deshet yar bitseni, al mimenu chotin choni. Nafshi yashovav, Nafshi yashovav, Yinchani b'magle tzedek leman shmo. Gam ki elech b'gaytz hamavet, Lo hirara ki ata imdi shivtecha umin shantecha hama yinchumuni Taroch lefanai, Taroch lefanai shulchan, Taroch lefanai shulchan, neged zororai, Deshanta, Deshanta, Deshanta v'shemen roshi, Deshanta v'shemen roshi, kosi ravaya, ha'ech tov v'chesed, yidufuni choyem echaye, v'shavti bevet Adonai. V'shavti bevet Adonai, v'shavti bevet Adonai, v'shavti bevet Adonai, la'orech yamim. Song of David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not lack. He causes me to lie down in lush pastures, and God leads me beside tranquil waters. He restores my soul and guides me in righteous paths for his name's sake. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your scepter and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in full view of my adversaries. You have anointed my head with oil, my cup overflows. May only goodness and kindness pursue me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord for length of days. Amen. Another traditional psalm which is often recited at funerals is the first psalm, Psalm 1. And in English, it says, Ashrei, happy is the one who has not followed the counsel of the wicked, nor stood in the path of sinners, nor sat in the company of the scornful. Rather, one's delight is in the Torah of the Lord, meditating on God's Torah day and night. And he will be like a tree planted by streams of water that yield its fruit in season, whose leaf will not wither, and whatever that one does prospers. Not so the wicked, who are like chaff that the wind drives away. Therefore the wicked shall not survive judgment, nor sinners in the assembly of the righteous. For the Lord loves the way of the righteous. The way of the wicked is doomed. One thing that stands out to me about David's life is his success. And this psalm says, the righteous prosper. All that he does will prosper. And I met with the family, and they shared with me all of his prosperous favor from the Lord and success in his life. And truly it's a blessing to remember. I'm going to recite now the memorial prayer, the traditional memorial prayer, the El Malay Rachamim. El Malay Rachamim Shochein Bamromim Chamse Menucha Nechuna Al HaKanfei HaShchina Bima'alot Kedushim Utihurim Ki Zohar Harakia Mesirim Et Nishmat David ben Alex Shuhaloch Leolamo Be'avor Shenachnu Mitpalalim Be'ad Haskirat Nishmato Bagain Eden Tihei Menuchoto Lachen Baal Harachamim Yisturehu Beseter Kanfav Leolamim Betziror Hachayim Id Nishmato Adonai Hu Nachlato Vanuach Bashalom Al Mishchavo Vanomar Amen. O God, full of compassion, who dwells on high, grant proper repose on the sheltering wings of your presence in the lofty levels of the holy and the pure, who shine as the brightness of the firmament unto the soul of David, son of Alex, who has gone on to his world, and for whose memory we pray. May his repose be in paradise. May the Master of compassion bring him under the cover of God's wings and bind his soul in the bond of life. May the Lord be his heritage, and may he repose on his resting place in peace. And let us respond, Amen. Amen. Can't express, and I can't imagine what it must be like for the family today on Father's Day to have this memorial service. I came in to meet with them this morning, actually, after they called me on Friday to let me know of David's passing, and after Shabbos today to meet with them and to sit down and reflect on the memories of David, to help me put together this eulogy. And when I walked in the door, I, of course, gave my condolences, and they said, you know, in some ways, it's an honor and a privilege to honor their father on this day, on Father's Day. And so with that, it is very fitting as I begin David's eulogy that's appropriately entitled by his daughter Dawn, Reflections of a Wonderful Father. I want to start with a brief quote of one verse from Psalm 104, verse 12, which says, "Besides them the birds of the sky dwell. They sing among the branches." The family shared with me that David instilled into his children, among many other things, a love for animals. Well, I met with the family to prepare this eulogy. There in the kitchen, I looked out on the screen door, and there was a squirrel climbing right up on their screen door. I mean, I've never seen anything like that. And I just had to stop, and I said, what is that? And Dawn said, "Oh, that squirrel, he knows us." And I said, "Really?" And they said, "Yeah, we feed the birds, we feed the squirrels here." And I could hear the birds chirping outside, and it made me think of this verse. As the birds are in the trees chirping, just as they are, so too did David, I was told. They had a family whistle, believe it or not. Dawn and the family told me this story that not long ago, up at Menor Ridge Rehab, out on the porch, they were all sitting together with David, listening to the birds and watching, and Dawn described a yellow finch that was flying around them, and she began to mimic its whistling. And David said to her, that's a good impression of the bird calls. And he said, "Did you know that there is a family whistle?" This was news to them. They had never heard that there was a family whistle. And so Daryl called Aunt Susan. Where's Aunt Susan? Oh, she's over there. Okay. To confirm, could this possibly be true? And to his amazement, she thought for a while, and she said, "Yes, there is a family whistle." And so, I don't know, Dawn, can you demonstrate that for us? There it is. I'm not making this up. I have never prepared a eulogy to see squirrels climbing the doors and family whistles, but there it is. It's true. And they told me that this kind of philosophy came from David's ethics of work hard and play hard. The family said that David loved his family. His children were most important to him, and he created memories that would last. He absolutely loved being a dad. Dawn and Daryl remember him pushing them on the swing set, always attending school functions. That's an amazing father, always there at school functions. Even during the school day, in the middle of the day, picking them up from school to take them out to lunch on his Harley Davidson. Wow, that would be so cool as a kid, to have your dad pick you up in the middle of the day. But every weekend was about going out and doing stuff, going to the parks, going to plays, going to concerts, going to museums, car shows, the zoo. Zoo is important, this love of animals. Farms. They went to Cole's farm, which was a petting farm, and this just reinforced this love for animals at an early age. Then there was a lot of travel, they said. A lot of trips to Florida. Every year, they told me that Miami became nicknamed My-Ami. So that's the way Dawn described it. They went across the U.S., they went to Canada, they were down in Bermuda, not to forget all the weekends with friends and their Michigan family as well. I'm sure some of you are here from there. The work hard part of David's philosophy included multiple jobs. The children told me they remember their father working multiple jobs while he was starting his renowned business, infamous Stadium Mustard. Daryl and Dawn remember that he had a few jobs during this time. He worked at Goodman's Furniture. He worked for a time as a car salesman. He sold condos for a while. David demonstrated his recipe for success, and it was described to me this way: opportunity met being prepared. This hard work philosophy came to David because his own father, I was told, was a butcher. And he died when David was only 15. David's first job was actually a golf caddy. But after his father's passing, he kept the butcher shop open in Cleveland Heights. Daryl recalls his dad in the early 70s loading all of these mustard cases into the back of his car, filling up the trunk. And he asked his dad, "When are you going to be home?" And he'd always respond, "When the trunk is empty, my son." And indeed, whenever he came back, that trunk was empty. David's success with that mustard business has become one of his major legacies. The family shared their father's vision for that mustard taste and how it brought back memories of going to the ball games with his own father, before he lost him prematurely. The family stressed to me that honesty and integrity were two of the most important core values that David had. Oftentimes, in reporting about the family business, the media would often get it wrong, or they would misreport the story or the facts about David's success and Stadium Mustard. But there was one person he always admired for getting the story right. There was the Bible and true story of Stadium Mustard and Cleveland sports, entitled Let's Have Another by Mr. Dan Coughlin. David believed that he dove into the stories of the truth of how Stadium Mustard was exactly started and how it became successful to this day, with over 150 stadiums and arenas in the U.S. that use this product, and not to mention all the grocery stores. And today, when I met with the family, I had no idea, but I've been eating this mustard all the time myself. And I had no idea that this was this family's legacy. Amazing. Another book was entitled Orbit of Discovery by Mr. Don Thomas, who is an astronaut and required that this mustard be with him on the space shuttle, which made Stadium Mustard out of this world. And that's not all. Another author, Les Roberts, wrote The Cleveland Local, a mystery novel, a detective series, if you will, that also mentions how the character in the book loves the Stadium Mustard. Along with even Fortune magazine, which stated that Stadium Mustard is the best in the world. So not only is it out of this world, it's the best in this world. Isn't that amazing? Well, David's Stadium Mustard was not only the best in this world. David and Daryl and their spouses, John and Michelle, felt their father, David Dwoskin, he himself was out of this world and the best dad in the world. John was just kvelling to me about David and his generosity, how he had blessed Michelle and John on their 10th wedding anniversaries with their spouses at the Horseshoe Mountain Resort in Virginia. He made sure that there were roses waiting for each of those couples in their suites. He did the same for his son and his wife, Michelle, as well. John recalls coming into the family at an early age. He was 18 years old while he was dating Dawn, and David, remarkably, was willing to take him with the family on vacation to a trip to California. Later, after he finally married in the family, John finally recalls being fully enfranchised into this loving family by David. John also shared that David would teach him how to order food in restaurants or which restaurants to go to. He would always say, "Daddy knows." So one of their favorite places here was the old New York Spaghetti House. I don't know if you all remember that, which is no longer here, but David would know exactly what to order, the soft bread, how it would come out prepared, and the best dishes to choose. And whenever John would affirm how correct his choices were, they'd always say, "Daddy knows." And that made John feel like a son. John said he will miss him very much, too. Michelle said that David was very forgiving. Their relationship started off on a rockier road, she said. Originally, David felt his son Daryl and Michelle were too young to marry. She didn't feel connected right away. But David eventually learned that all Michelle ever wanted was the best for this family. She later felt accepted, not only in the family, but also by David in his heart. They had many moments together recently while he was in rehab. She helped keep David calm. Michelle said David really treated her like his own daughter at that point. He would listen to her, sometimes even more than his own kids, especially when he wanted coffee. He only trusted Michelle for the coffee. It came to the point that sometimes only she could be the one to speak to David about certain things, especially when it came to the time to make the decision to leave the home for the care that he needed at Mena Ridge. Michelle held his hand, and she even prayed with him. She never left without saying, "I love you," kissing him and hugging him often. wiping his tears, wiping his face, Michelle also is really going to miss him. She did it with grace. She did it with dignity. Michelle, acknowledged by the whole family that I met with, all agree that she made his passing more peaceful with God. David would spend holidays with Michelle's family, Christian holidays, and he loved Michelle's family. In fact, Gina, who you saw playing the harp over there, was going to play a song as well that she's going to play today, but she was going to do it for him, I was told, today on Father's Day as a gift. But we're going to do it today in his memory and his honor in a moment. Michelle's family, I'm told, embraced David and his family, and I feel that this is a very unique trait, to have in-law families come together and merge like they did. Very special. Michelle, as the rest of the other three, did their best to make David feel at peace and comfortable in his final days. For the past 2 months, they took turns spending time, each of them, to care for him, and they all said it was an honor and a privilege. Truly, that is the mitzvah, to honor thy father and mother. The day after her father died, Dawn told me she was taking a walk, and she noticed some people hovering over a man who was lying down on the ground. Someone said, "It's okay, it's just a small family of ducks that fell into the sewer drain, and there were only 2 little ducklings left to be rescued out." So Dawn decided to help out. And it was at that moment, she told me, that she kind of felt her dad's voice say to her, "Use the family whistle." So she went, right? And she whistled to get those ducklings to come up to the net. And miraculously, they did. And they were saved. This incident, the day after she lost her father, gave Dawn an incredible amount of comfort. You see, ladies and gentlemen, David Dwoskin sowed seeds of love and care throughout his life. And in this case, mustard seeds. David felt his most important and proudest accomplishment was having raised his children with the virtues of honesty and integrity, humor, generosity, and teaching them something else, never to give up, to always stay persistent. I want to close this eulogy with the most important testimony that was shared with me today about David. It took place at Daryl's bar mitzvah many years ago. David came up to his son and said this exactly, word for word, to him. "If I could ask God for a son, I would not have the guts to ask him for a son as beautiful and kind and generous as the one I have." Today, Daryl asked me to send this message, share this message with you all publicly, that he likewise says, if I could go to God and ask for a father, I would not have the guts to ask for one that was as generous and kind and loving as David Dwoskin. I began this eulogy with quoting Psalm 104, how the birds whistle in the trees. Most famous rabbi who ever lived once said this. He presented to them a parable saying, "The Malchut HaShemayim, the kingdom of heaven, is like a mustard seed, which a man took and planted into his field. It's the smallest of all the seeds, yet when it is fully grown, it is greater than all the other herbs in the garden. It becomes like a tree, so that the birds of the air come and rest in its branches." David is there today in the kingdom of heaven. On this Father's Day, we remember him, his virtues, and what made him great. Just as the mustard plant is the greatest, so is David's own legacy. May his memory be like the birds, chirping, whistling in the trees, and always be a blessing to his family. And I say to the family, to you all, keep whistling. Keep whistling. Amen. We're going to have this musical accompaniment right now, and I just ask you to maybe bow your heads and just close your eyes and reflect on your loved one and all that he means in your life while Gina plays this melody. David Melech Israel, King David, as a shepherd boy, would play the harp to soothe and console King Saul. And that was well done, Gina. Thank you for consoling all of us with that beautiful harp. We're going to conclude with a recitation of Psalm 91, which begins, Yoshev Beseter Elyon, you who dwell in the shelter of the Most High. abiding in the shadow of the Almighty. I say of the Lord, my refuge and my stronghold, my God in whom I trust. That God will deliver you from the ensnaring net, from destructive plague. With God's pinion he will shelter you, and under his wings shall you find refuge. Faith in God shall be your shield and protector. Fear not the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day, the plague that stalks in the darkness, the destruction that ravages at noon. Though 1,000 may fall at your left side and 10,000 at your right hand, it shall not reach you. Look but clearly, and you shall see the retribution of the wicked. Because you said, you, Lord, are my trust. You set the Most High as your dwelling. No harm shall befall you, nor disease come near your tent. For God will give his angels charge concerning you, to guard you in all your ways. They shall carry you on their hands, lest you injure your foot against a stone. You shall tread upon the lion and the viper. You shall trample the young lion and serpent. Because he yearned for me, I will deliver him. I will be his refuge, for having known my name. He will call upon me, and I will answer. I will be with him in distress. I will rescue him and give him honor. With lengths of days I will satisfy him and reveal to him my salvation. With length of days will I satisfy him and reveal to him my salvation. And in Hebrew, that ends, Orech Yamim Asbiehu Ve'arehu B'Yeshuati. With length of days I will satisfy him and reveal to him my salvation. We're going to recite together now the mourner's Kaddish. The family should have the Kaddish cards. I'm going to invite you all to stand as we conclude with the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah. Amen. Bi'amal divra chirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayachon uv'mechon uv'chayei de kol beit Yisrael, be'agala uv'izman koriv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevorach, le'olam ulomei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam. V'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei de kedusha breichu. Le'alal min kol b'chirata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'amal v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imroma. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Amen. And in English, may God's great name grow exalted and sanctified. Amen. In the world which he has created according to God's will, and may he rule that dominion in your lifetimes and in your days and in the lifetimes of the entire family of Israel, swiftly and in due time. And we respond. Amen. May God's great name be blessed forever and ever. Blessed, praised, glorified, exalted, extolled, beautified, upraised, and lauded be the name of the Holy One. Blessed is he. Beyond any blessing and song, praise and consolation that are uttered in the world, and we respond. Amen. May there be abundant tranquility and peace from heaven, and life upon us and upon all Israel, and we respond. Amen. The effector of harmony in God's heights, may God effect tranquility and peace for us and for all Israel, and we respond. Amen. Amen. This will conclude the memorial service for David Dwoskin. I encourage you all to give the family your condolences before you leave and be a comfort and a blessing to them, and may his memory always be a blessing to you all. Amen.